Welcome to the More Than Anxiety podcast. I'm Megan DeVito, and I'm the life coach for stressed out and anxious women who want more out of life. I'm here to help you create a life you love to live where anxiety isn't holding you back. Get ready for a lighthearted approach to managing anxiety through actionable steps, a lot of truth talk, and inspiration to take action so you walk away feeling confident, calm, and ready to live. Let's get to it. Hey there. Welcome to episode 83 of the More Than Anxiety podcast. I cannot wait to bring the interview that I just did to you this week. I talked with Zach and Jeremy from the Fit Mess podcast. We talked all about men's mental health, what it's like for guys to be dealing with anxiety and depression and overwhelm, all of the things that women experience very differently. We talked about the similarities and how we experience it the same, and really what guys need for support so that they can get the help that they need. Let's not pretend that anything mental health related is strictly with women. We kind of get an easy pass. Not that it's easier for us, just that it's expected that we're going to have emotions and we're going to have big feelings. Guys, they're kind of told to put it in a box and shove it on a shelf to get over it and pretend like nothing's wrong. So they work a little harder and they get a little more anxious and a little more depressed. We're going to talk about all of that, about everything they want you to know about men's mental health, and about how we can help younger boys and teenagers so that we can really stop this whole epidemic from the ground up, help our guys, help our young boys start to feel better, and knock out this whole problem across the country from every side. We're talking about men's roles, women's roles, and how we can come together to help everybody together. You guys, you're going to really love this podcast. Give it a listen and be sure that you go and follow the Fit Mess, M-E-S-S podcast. Enjoy the episode. Thank you, everybody, for joining me again on this episode. I am really excited this week to be able to bring Jeremy and Zach from the Fit Mess podcast to you to talk about men's mental health, because I talk a lot about high achieving women, but there are so many guys out there that need to hear this and they need the help. And who better to ask about men's mental health than men? Because certainly women, we have our own way of doing it. So Jeremy and Zach, thank you for being here. Can you tell us a little bit about what you do and how you got started?
Sure. So we, like you said, we have our podcast called The Fit Mess, and we're trying to speak to, other men who have mental health issues. Both Jeremy and I had our own demons we needed to fight and get through, and lots and lots and lots of years of struggling and getting the normal advice from other men along the way of, put it in a box, put it on a shelf, forget about it, rub dirt on it, and just move on with your life. That advice doesn't work for everyone, didn't work for us. And we had to go through and, kind of heal ourselves from, some traumas that we had in our lives. Me specifically, I had a lot of neglect and, abuse from parents and foster homes and things like that. So just lots and lots of things I had to work on. And once I finally figured out, I was like, hey, you know what? I need to take care of me. I need to deal with the sensitive side of me. I need to do these things. I started to get better. It's amazing. I started to feel happier.
How'd that happen?
It was weird, really, really weird. But yeah, fast forward like 20 years of working on myself. Jeremy and I met, and, he's been through his own story, and I'll let him share that. But once we bonded and we started talking about these things and sharing with each other and being vulnerable as two guys, it was really, really helpful and healing and very therapeutic for me and him. And one day, like, Jeremy's done podcasts for a long time, and one day I was like, we should tell other men about this. We should do a podcast. And he said, absolutely not. I'll turn it over to him to fill in his side of it.
Yeah, well, I mean, I said absolutely not because I felt like, who are we? We have no business talking about this. We're not authorities. We're not experts. We're not therapists. We're not even coaches, right? We're a couple of guys doing a few things. And Zach kept pushing the idea, and I started kind of surveying the space and seeing what people were doing with podcasting. And I'd done like a comedy show for years prior to that, so a totally different avenue to go down this rather than trying to make people laugh over fart jokes or whatever. And ultimately, I found that the people that I learn the most from are the ones that are not on the mountaintop, but they're the ones that are just right around the corner that are showing me the way to get to the mountaintop eventually. And so I really like that. And I also had a long background in interviewing. And so I just thought, yeah, let's share our experience and let's bring in experts to fill the knowledge gaps where they exist. And, after several years of that and hundreds of interviews, those knowledge gaps have gotten smaller and smaller. So it's we're kind of leaning more on our own experiences and what we've learned in the process to help other guys that are like we were 10, 15, 20 years ago at the beginning of this thing going, I'm sick of my own crap. I'm sick of feeling like this. I don't know what to do. I don't know where to turn. I'm alone and I don't know how to get out of this mess. We're hoping that guy finds the show and says, they've got some ideas. They've done this. Let's figure out how to work together and solve this problem.
Mm-hmm. I think it's interesting that you said, put it in the box and put a little, put it on a shelf, rub a little dirt on it, and it's fine. Which, as we were talking before the episode, I said, I just want my husband to listen to this because that is the thing. And I mean, as a person that's like, you can put it in the box, but it's like it's going to claw its way out. For me, it was always this experience where I could put it in a box, but that was sort of like, oh, just relax, just calm down. To me, that put it in the box is just calm down. And we know that that's like the worst advice that you could ever give anyone when they're anxious. So what is it that makes anxiety and depression for men? Like, I know what it is for women. I can explain that, but how is it for men? Like, how do you feel like maybe it's different? Do you feel like it's different all around, or is it more just socialization? Like, what do you think that is?
I think the biggest difference is the societal expectation of how it's dealt with. I think that for women, it's much more acceptable to show emotion, to share, to turn to a friend and say, I need help with this. Where guys, if you have a weakness, you certainly don't ask for help. You certainly don't talk about it. You don't share publicly that you're struggling with your feelings, right? Like, that is not something men do. And I hope that's changing, because I've found that the more I share, the more I talk about this, the more people want to help. They want to help, show you the way out. They want to share their experience and the things that have worked for them. And that's the other part of this, is that what works for one person doesn't always work for another. I've gone down to all of the different paths of medication to deal with depression, and all of them led to more problems than they solved. So for me, medication was not the answer. For me, it was years of trial and error, years of doing different things that ultimately did not work until I started to find the things that did. And a lot of them, and I say this knowing full well that there are depressed people listening to this trying to find answers. But I found that for me, I had to just get out of my own way. I had to stop letting the depression guide the story. There's so many things in my life that I did not pursue because I was afraid, what happens if I wake up depressed? How am I going to deal with that? I can't let that dictate how I live my life anymore. So, we talked to somebody a while ago who said, when somebody comes and dumps a bunch of garbage on your front lawn, it's not your fault, but it is your responsibility to clean it up. Ooh. And so that helped me abandon this victim mentality of, I've had this rough life. I've had this tough experience. I've lived with this thing. So things should come easily to me because I'm at this disadvantage. It's the complete opposite. The obstacle for me has been the depression, and I've been running away from it and not dealing with it. And the minute that I found tools to help keep it at bay naturally and in ways that worked for me, that's when I've won the most. The more I've leaned into it and decided I'm going to be responsible for the way I feel, that's how I've really taken it back. And again, like, I know there's people that, like, clinically, it's deep, it's dark, there is medication needed. I get it. I get that. But I also know that I've never felt better than when I decided I'm done feeling that way. I'm not going to let that decide how I live my life anymore.
Yeah. Yeah. What do you think, Zach? What's your answer?
I totally agree. I think for men and women, I think it's just different, right? The societal norms of what's expected of a man and what's expected of a woman it's just different. So, like, I run on the anxious level, right? I'm not as depressed. Like, I get depressed because I'm anxious, which is a circle that sometimes I get into. But, the things that I'm anxious about are very different than what a woman would be anxious about. I mean, there are commonalities, sure. Like, we're anxious about work and presentations and things like that. Like, I will go outside with 9 days worth of scraggly beard grown in with like, and I don't care. Like, I'm not anxious about that in any way, shape,
Right.
or form. My daughter, on the other hand, won't leave the house unless she's got like 7 layers of makeup on. So like, she's anxious about something very, very different than what I'm anxious about. But like Jeremy said, he hit on it there. What I found is even as a guy, we are, we're brought up to really keep that stuff inside, not talk about it, not share it, and figure it out yourself. I found and that's supposed to be the way it works, and that's the way we're supposed to get through life. And I've now found the complete opposite, that the more that I share about what I'm feeling, the help that I need in that moment shows up. And it's not like magical. This isn't like the universe or anything like that. It's just, if you tell somebody you feel X, they might know somebody, or they might turn you to somebody else who does know something about it.
Mm-hmm.
And you're never going to find a solution if you don't ask, or if you don't go search for it. And I think that has been the number one difference for me as a guy, that we just don't do. We don't ask for help. We don't share our feelings. We're not vulnerable. And, my girlfriend gives me crap about it sometimes, because, I am sensitive. I share my feelings, and she's like, "Oh my God, not this again." I'm like, "But yes, this again. This is how I get through things."
Yeah.
Once I figured out that like, I do have to feel my emotions, I can feel them. It can hurt. I can cry. I can be sad. I can be angry. But once I feel them, I can process them and I can move on. Jeremy jokes with me all the time when my ex-wife and I decided to divorce. Even though I initiated it, it was still a sad moment. It was loss, right? It was something that I had to feel. And I just let those feelings hit me for 3 days. And I did a lot of crying, and I did a lot of just letting everything roll over me. And about 3 days later, I was like, okay, I'm good.
Yeah.
I've done it. And people joke all the time. They're like, "Oh, did you just choose 3 days?" No, it just took 3 days because I processed it. If I hadn't done that, I would have been miserable for 6 months.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I think you're right that the themes of what we, the things that we worry about, for sure, like women are like, "Oh, I looked horrible. What did they think about me?" And like the things that we worry about may not be the same. I mentioned earlier that I had really incredible health anxiety from about third grade until I was almost 40, where I was like, "Oh my God, I'm dying." I died of everything, right? But nothing at all, which is a miracle, I guess. But I wonder, like, is there some really common themes that you notice? Like, these would be like, if you were to make like a top 5 of like, these are the things that are giving men the most grief or struggle in terms of mental health. Is it often finances, or is it these things that maybe we don't even know about? Like, as women, like if I know that my husband, I'm like, "Why are you so grouchy all the time?" Like, if I can notice these signs or these symptoms of someone being anxious or being depressed, what would be some things that you feel like are just, these are the things that guys are dealing with, maybe that we're not picking up, that like, no, this isn't a big thing for them?
Yeah, this is for me. This is what I've seen this in Jeremy, and I've seen this across the board with many, many men. And this is not something that just men experience, but I would say the number one thing is really fear of failure in some way, shape, or form, right? What if I'm not enough? What if I can't provide for my family? I remember years ago talking to my therapist about, I was upset about a job related thing.
Yeah.
And I forget the rabbit hole that we went down, but it literally ended up being, I'm upset about this thing because if I can't do it, I'm going to lose my job. If I lose my job, I'm going to lose my house. If I lose my house, I'm going to lose, my family won't have anywhere to live. And if I lose that, I'm going to lose my family, and I'm going to be a piece of crap. And at the end of the day, like, it wasn't that big of a deal. Like, it catastrophized into this big, big thing. So I think for all of us, like, I personally think it's fear of failure in some way, shape, or form, whether it's failure at work or failure at home. Just last week, I was really anxious. I had to replace a toilet, and I was afraid that I was going to do it wrong, and like water was going to leak all over the place. And then I had to pay thousands of dollars for a plumber. Like, this fear that we're not going to be able to do something either right or to the societal expectations that we put on ourselves.
Yeah.
I think honestly, I think deep deep loneliness and lack of acknowledgement is huge for men. And part of it is that fear of failure. I feel like we're sort of in this role where we silently go through the day trying to provide for our families, trying to do all, like, not lose the job, try to do the things that keep the family functioning, that keep the bills paid, that keep the lights on. And whatever thank you means to guy X isn't said enough, isn't acknowledged enough. I feel like men are not supposed to feel, so they're not supposed to have their feelings acknowledged, to have the work they do acknowledged. And so it's just sort of a given that, oh yeah, you go to work, you come home, you don't say anything, you must be happy, you must be fine. When I think they're dying inside for some sort of acknowledgement for the work that they're doing, for the emotions they're carrying, the feelings that they can't talk about. And that creates a deep loneliness. And they don't know how to reach out and ask. Dad didn't teach them how to ask for a hug. Like, they don't know how to get what they need. And I don't know that they even know that that's what it is. I think that there's just this deep loneliness that turns into resentment for everything and everyone around them. And I think it's that. I think if it was somehow okay, or somehow acknowledged more for men to be able to say, this is what I feel, this is what I need. And if they could learn how to say that in a way that isn't met with, well, but you didn't, and how come you don't, and whatever, then I think that would help with this crisis that I think is starting to come to the surface of men's mental health, that it is not acknowledged enough. And I say that with the full acknowledgement of, like, the privilege that men have, that particularly middle-aged white men have, particularly in North America. I get all that, but there's still pain, there's still suffering, and it's not acknowledged enough. And I think at the heart of it is that loneliness and lack of acknowledgement for what still is a struggle, even though maybe it's not as big of a struggle, on a relative scale as what other people may be experiencing.
Yeah, and that makes a lot of sense. I'm trying to remember which account. It was an Instagram account that I follow. The guy who does the Anxiety RX podcast talks a lot about how his theory is that all anxiety is separation anxiety, whether it's separation from someone else, separation from yourself, or separation for whatever it is. And I was like, I'm not sure about that. And then it's funny, the more I think into it, I'm like, oh, it really, like, I really do feel separated from this. So I think that when you say that loneliness and really feeling like I need someone, it does go back to that idea of I'm alone, or I'm separate from this. Like, it's just me out here, like, scrambling to try and stay above water. So
yeah, you're expected to be the superhero, to just magically make everything happen.
Yeah.
And it's an impossible task, because pretty much everybody needs help at some point. And guys are really, really bad at asking. I mean, how often is the joke made about why guys don't go to the doctor? They don't know how to ask for help. They feel like crap. They don't even put together that, oh, maybe I should go to the doctor, until they're at a point where, like, okay, now I need to go to the hospital because I didn't know how to ask for help, but now I just desperately need something. We're not trained to be in touch with those feelings and to know what they are and to acknowledge them. And so we, I think, depend on validation from others, from external sources, to tell us we're okay, to tell us we're doing a good job. We get the promotion, we get the raise. Like, it's a lot of it is professional acknowledgement, but there's not. I shouldn't say there's nothing. There's little at home, and I think that it's hard, even if there is, for men to acknowledge when it is there, and how to really own it and feel it.
Yeah. And we're really grasping at two different, for the exact same things on two very different sides, right? Like, men are really, it sounds like, looking for this, I need this professional acknowledgement. Like, I am holding the family together by going to work and doing all of this. And on the other side, we have women who are like, I am drowning over here in this house, and I need some acknowledgement that, like, and why we can't see that that's happening on both sides, because I think it is hard. I think we're starting to see it. I think there is more talk about, like, balancing what we're doing. Like, how can I help make money, and how can my husband help at home, and how can we put those things together? Because everybody's floundering, everyone is suffering, and we're really just like, we're all losing it.
I just want to say really quickly on that, and Zach, I'll give you a chance, I promise. But the idea that, like you said, it's not like we're in the 50s and men are going to work and women are staying home. We're all trying to do all of it now. So women are trying to now better adapt to the workplace and to find their place at the table and all of the things, while men are going, I want to be a better dad. I want to break the cycle. I want to show up. nobody ever showed me how. So we're both trying to figure out the other role.
Mhm.
And I don't know if that's good or bad, but what it is it creates a lot of friction on both sides where we're still in our silos trying to figure out what is my role in both worlds.
Yeah. Somebody once told me that, so I used to wait tables in college, and somebody said everyone should be a waiter or waitress at some point in their lives, because you learn
Yes.
customer experience,
Yeah.
service, and you know how to, you learn how to treat other people. I honestly, the times when my wife would go away and I had to manage the household and I had to work at the same time, they were never fun experiences. Like doing it on your own is never fun.
Mm-hmm.
However, it does teach you a really powerful lesson, like that appreciation of the other side. So even if you're not trying to, bleed over into the other side, and well, everyone should want to be a better dad. But if you're not like trying to get over into like all of that stuff, at the very least, like know what it is so that you can appreciate it, so that you can, listen or acknowledge that person. One of the best things that I've ever learned, and whenever I hear it back at me, is this amazing thing that, like, at home, like if I'm talking to my significant other and I hear them complaining about the house, about work, about anything, my first response to them is, are we in problem solving mode, or do you just need me to listen?
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And it took me having to do the other side to understand that sometimes you just need to listen. Sometimes that needs to happen that way. Now, my own experience has been interesting because I did get divorced. And now I manage my own household and work full-time job all the time. So that just makes it all interesting. But now I'm on the other side of it, letting somebody in, they come to my house and they're like, can I help you? Can I do something? Like, no, I got it. So now I'm having struggles on the other side of letting other people help me with things.
Ooh, we could coach on that. Yeah. Tell me all about why you have a problem with asking for help. Yeah. They're kind of like full circle, right? So what do you think, like, what do guys wish that, like, is there a question that, like, I wish she would just ask me this. I wish she would just tell me this. Something that it's like, if they only knew this one thing, then I could, like, feel a little less heavy, or I could feel a little less anxious. There's something that men just wish that other men knew, or knew that women knew, on how to help them. Like, I just wish they knew. Oh, I know there's so many things, and there's so many different avenues that we could go with this, whether we're talking about anxiety or depression, or just, little bits and pieces of that, from feeling burnout or overwhelmed or like a failure or whatever that is.
Mm-hmm.
Is there something that's there? Like, if we just knew this one thing.
I mean, a couple things come to mind. I don't know how groundbreaking they are, or maybe they've been said a million times, but like, I'm thinking of my guy friends who will say, how you doing? Right. And my default is always, oh, I'm good. Right. Like I use it as sort of a check-in to, like, literally in this moment, I'm good, no matter how bad things are.
Mm-hmm.
But sometimes I'll have that friend that's like, no, shut up. Well, how are you? What's going on? And just to invite that space to be heard, to be acknowledged, to be able to vent whatever it is that's needed. I think that's key. Like, so if you're a guy listening to this, or even if you are, a girl, whatever your role is, and you have a man in your life, give him the space to open up. Like, invite the feelings to come out. Don't like nag, but just get real, right? And I think for maybe in like the relationship dynamic, whatever that looks like for you, if you can find specific things occasionally and acknowledge what that person is doing for you, for the family, for their community, like whatever the thing is, to be seen, I think is huge for guys. Like, we just want to be seen for what we're doing, and not be taken for granted that we're going to be there to reach the thing on the high shelf, or to get the tires rotated on the car, or whatever the thing is. Like, to just be acknowledged, like, thank you for doing this for us. It means a lot. I see that you're working hard for us. That makes your day.
Yeah. That's huge.
Yeah. And I would just add one thing that, I've seen a lot, heard about, and I experience it myself, is as a guy, so I'm pretty deeply in tune with my emotions. And when I have a bad day or I'm upset or I'm dealing with something, I will still shut down a bit just so I can like go process the things. And my significant other, if I get asked, are you okay? Can you help me with this? Can you do this? Can you like, there's a way to recognize when the other person just needs a little space. Like the analogy that I use is like, if the stove is hot, there's an indicator on it that says it's hot. Don't go up and keep touching it to see if it's hot. Look at the indicator and don't touch it if it's still hot. And I think this goes the other way too. Like, so my girlfriend, if she's in a particular mindset, I've flat out asked her, I was like, hey, I need you to give me a hug. I need you to give me a kiss, say hi. And then you can say, leave me alone for a little bit, please. Like, and just communicate that, because when you don't communicate it to the other person, I just need a couple of minutes and here's why, and just walk away. It leads to resentment. It leads to friction. It makes the other person think that they did something wrong. So, from a relationship standpoint, but even with friends, like, when Jeremy and I are talking, if there's something that's bothering me, I will kind of shut down on him, and he's really good at asking me, are you okay? Are you okay? Don't touch that.
And then I say, where's the record button? Let's get this on tape.
Yeah.
This needs to be an episode.
Right.
Exactly. It usually is.
I love it. No, and I think that's so important though I love the idea of a hot button, because it would be so nice if we could just have, I'm not okay across our forehead, right? Like, hey, today, no, this is not a good day for me. Like whatever it is that's going on, and without having to get into even what's going on. I think you're right. Like shutting down is a big one. And for some people, when we don't know what's going on, especially if you're sensitive, especially if it's one of those things where you walk into a room and you instantly sponge up everybody else's feelings, and we have to sort out, is that them or is that me, before we can even figure out what's going on. What do you feel like you personally, like when you feel anxious or if you feel depressed, however you feel, what is the thing that is like, oh, I know that, like, this is what I'm putting out there into the world. This would be my sign. Like mine is instantly, when I get really quiet, something is wrong. Either I'm exhausted because I've talked to a lot of people during the day, or it's like, but when I'm like quiet and shut down, that's different than like, look, I've just had a really long day of a lot of talking. What's your sign?
I can tell you what mine is. If I'm around other people, I will start joking. Like I'm getting really, really, really sarcastic for my own health, because I know I need to turn the mood around while I'm with those people. And I'm good at it. I can usually get people laughing. And if anyone else is in a foul mood, sometimes you can get a smile out of them. That's my sign. So like and Jeremy knows, like I joke a lot, but if it steps up to a new level, that like I could snap at any moment.
That's a good one though, because it's almost a defense mechanism, isn't it?
Yeah,
like
totally.
I don't feel good, so you better laugh.
Yep. And I choose that though, because what I used to do was get really silent and really mean, and like, somebody would be like, hey, how was your day? And I'd give them an FU or, something like that. So I'm just choosing the other way.
That's a good one.
Yeah, I think in my case, my wife would tell you that she sees it before I do, and it's a look on my face. It's the way I carry myself. Like when the depression kicks in, it usually comes from some level of overwhelm. There's just too much going on. It's chaos on all fronts: work, family, kids, finances. It's all just too much, and it shuts me down. And for the longest time, I mean, for most of my life, that meant days of I need to be in a dark room away from people and just ride this out. It's a flu. I've got to ride it out until it passes. Now I know how to recognize it a little sooner, and I've learned to listen to her when she says, "You've got that look," and to get my ass in the gym when that happens, because that's energy that needs to move. It's all just you've heard it a million times. The body keeps the score. When all that stuff is building up, your body says, that's enough. I need a break, or I need this energy to do something other than exist in this swirling in my head or in my chest or whatever. And so my wife's gotten good at saying that, and then saying, go to the gym, get out of the house, get out of here. Like you need time for you. Because I don't. That's the other thing guys do. we will push and push and push and push until we break. I've done that my entire life, and she doesn't want to see me do that anymore, and I don't want to do that anymore. So I try to just really listen to her because she's a really good indicator. She's the button that says, it's too hot right now. Go deal with this. So being a good listener if you are lucky enough to have somebody who can see it is really good. But and it's just so hard for guys, but like, just get really curious about your feelings, about why you are reacting the way you are. If you are grumpy and snapping at people, is it because your boss is a jerk, or is it because you just haven't done anything for yourself since 1986? Like, you've got to make time for you. It's the champagne fountain. Everyone talks about the airbag on the plane, but the champagne fountain is the better analogy. Fill it up on the top so that there's still enough for everyone to celebrate when it gets to the bottom. Like, guys, don't do that. And you just have to put yourself first, which I think a lot of us do in the form of work to get that acknowledgement. But there's a deeper level than the nameplate on the desk.
This is so good. So good. I love this. And I think that you're just like kind of bringing to my next question that I was thinking about, this idea of, first of all, I love the idea that as soon as you get depressed, you're like, go to the gym, because for me, in such a long period of anxiety, and people will say, what did you do? And I'm like, I don't know. It was totally an accident. It was absolutely an accident. I started walking every afternoon because I just wanted to get away from the chaos in my house, and I was losing my mind, and I just wanted to go be by myself. I would get quiet, and I'm like, fine, I'm going for a walk. And I noticed that, like, wow, I actually feel better after I take a walk, and I can eat cookies. I mean, I can do all these things if I just walk farther. So, it started with that, and it's been such a game changer for both of my boys. I have a 23-year-old and a 17-year-old, like two sons who are 23 and 17. And as a former teacher, and I teach high schoolers 2 days a week still, what do we have to do to start at the bottom? Because I like the idea of filling your cup from the top, but I really feel when we look at this entire epidemic as a whole, this mental health epidemic, that we have to start at the bottom. Like, we got to start with the boys. We got to start with the teenagers and really changing. So what do we need to do to help little boys? Like, from a man's perspective, like from a mom's perspective, I'm like, we need to love them and teach them their feelings. But what else? What do you guys wish that your dads would have done? Or what do you wish that men would have done to model for them?
Yeah.
What do I tell my little baby nephews?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, speaking from experience, I have a 12-year-old daughter. She doesn't believe a thing I say. So,
right.
There's a couple of things. So I think having, male role models who are able to be vulnerable and share their feelings and talk openly about those things is probably the number one thing, right? I mean, I don't think there's any way to tell them that they should do something. You got to show them. And I know, with some of my friends who do have sons, like, I get into that mode when I'm around them a little bit, and not going to lie, it hurts a little bit because I get called a whole bunch of names by these kids, and they're kind of joking and they're kind of not, but I don't care. I'm just going to you just got to show them that it's okay for that to happen. And I think the other, if there's nobody in your life that, in your like immediate family or that can show that to them, like with my daughter, right? I'm a dad, I'm a guy. I can't relate to her on things as a female. So I go out and I try and find, like people like the owner of my gym, or, somebody who does cosmetics or something like that I consider strong, powerful women. And I kind of put her around them with their knowledge, or with the knowledge to them already of like, hey, I'm trying to tell her something along these lines. If you agree, awesome. Could you help me? If you don't agree, don't worry about it. We won't talk about it. So I just really try and model it myself for boys, but for my daughter, I try and put her around other females that I feel have, those things that I think she needs. And I would recommend the same thing for, moms who have boys, right? Try and find men who have those things that you're trying to instill into your children, and just put them around them. Just put them in the same room, same environment, so that they can soak that all up.
Zach stole my show them, don't tell them answer. So I'm going to give you this one. And it's,
Okay.
Don't tell them anything. Shut up and listen. Give that kid permission to feel, right? Like that kid has been told to toughen up. That kid has been told, shut up and rub some dirt. Literally. Okay. I love this story. I was with some friends. This was probably a year ago now. I have 2 daughters, young daughters that, they're amazing. Love them. I'm out with my friend and her son, who's about, I think, 10 at the time. And we're walking along in the woods and he falls down, scrapes his knee and just loses his mind, like just completely crying. And it took me a minute, but when that happened, there was this almost primal instinct of like, geez, kid, you just fell down. Like, get up. What's the big deal? And I simultaneously was like, if that was my daughter, I would give her all the love and, oh, it's okay. Like, I'm sorry that happened. God, that sucks. Give her all that space. But there was something in me that said, come on, young man, don't feel these feelings. Get up and keep moving. And it's so ingrained in us. It's so a part of who we are to not allow young boys to feel physical pain, emotional pain, whatever. Get up, robot. Keep doing your job. So whatever you can do to just get out of the way, right? Like, be there, ask them how they're feeling. Again, get real with them. Don't accept fine. Give them a space to talk about those feelings. Follow their lead. Kids are much stronger, much more resilient, much smarter than we give them credit for. They know what they need. They don't know how to ask for it. So if you can guide them in learning how to ask for what they need, to share what they're feeling, just stop telling them what to do and start asking them what they need, and they'll learn to tell you. So that would be my advice: is worry less about telling them or showing them anything, and hear what they have to say.
Well, that was pretty much like the best ending ever. Like 100% everything you just said. I'm like, wow, okay. So everything, yes, just do all of that. Yeah, exactly. It was like 2 mic drops and it was perfect. No, that was spot on. Yeah, I think you're so right. They do know what they need. And we have this thought that like, I know better than you, or I'm going to tell you how it is. And they have such interesting ideas. I've had so many conversations with my kids lately, like, what is actually going on at your school right now? Like, what? I mean, first of all, what does that word mean? But then also, what are you doing? Like, what do you guys think about this stuff that's going on? And they are insightful. They're so cautious. We get all of these misconceptions, I think, from what we hear about what's going on, but the kids are all right, but they're not. I mean, they're doing all right. They're doing the best that they can, but just being able to open that up for them and to let those changes happen from them saying, no, we trust you, but let's talk about how you're feeling about this situation. What do you want to do? What are you afraid of? And it's really okay to be afraid of that thing. It's really okay to be nervous and to handle it. And you can do it. Like we'll figure out how to do it. It's okay to be uncomfortable and to work through those feelings, because that's how we grow, and to be mad and sad and all those things. And I love it that, just listening. It's such a lost, I wouldn't even say a lost art. It's just something that we say we're listening, but we're not listening.
Parents, it's a tough spot to be in, because you want to protect your kid. You want to, keep the boogeyman out of the bedroom and all the scary stuff that's out there. These kids don't have the decades of stories that we're walking around with and all the fears that we've built up about the thing that happened to us when we were 8.
Right.
Let them figure it out. They are going to learn so much more from falling down and skinning their knee and crying about it and being told it's okay to cry about it than they are by you saying, be careful, there's a stick there. Yeah. Because all you're teaching them is, I need mom. I need someone to tell me to watch out. But when I learned that if I don't pay attention and I fall on my ass, I better pay attention, right? Like, let them, give them space to bump into things and fall down and learn these lessons on their own. Because I know from experience, you end up expecting the Disney ending, the person to come in and save the day. They ain't coming. No. It's on you to clean that mess up on your lawn that somebody else left there.
Yeah, such a good analogy. Okay, where can people find you? Tell them what you do. Where do we find you? What do we need?
We have a lot of conversations just like this.
I love it.
The website is thefitmess.com. Not fitness, but fit mess, because all of this is very messy and trying to keep all the aspects of our lives fit as we can. it's a mess. So thefitmess.com, that's where you find all the links, all the episodes, and all you need to find about us.
Amazing. You guys, this is probably my favorite interview I've ever done. Thank you. I loved it.
It's my favorite episode of your show. It's my favorite episode.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
We're a little biased. But
no, this is really like, I think that we just need this perspective and we need to keep hearing it. You know, hearing something one time does not make changes, but we just need to keep hearing it and hearing it and hearing it. And I'm saying we got to get out there and help not just the men, but the little boys that are going to turn into men in no time flat. And that is how we save the world.
Yep.
So
Absolutely.
Thank you.
No, thank you.
Yeah, I really appreciate it. You guys have a great day.
Thank you. You too.
You too.
I hope you enjoyed this episode of the More Than Anxiety podcast. Before you go, be sure to subscribe and leave a review so others can easily find this resource as well. And of course, if you're ready to feel more relaxed, have more energy, more confidence, and a lot more fun, you can go to the show notes, click the link, and talk to me about coaching. Talk to you soon.